So, good afternoon, everyone. I have made my statements, and quite a number of people are upset. And it's surprising that the very people that you strive to protect are the ones who hate you the most. It's very, very, very hurtful. But then and again, Jesus said that we will be betrayed by those closest to us. All right? Hence Judas. Hence Peter's denial. The very people who walked with him, ate with him, right, did God's work along with him, with the very people to betray him. And most of it was because they didn't trust enough. Their faith was not strong enough, right? Blessed is he who see and believe, but greater is he who do not see yet believe, right? So great is he who see and believe, but greater is he who does not see yet believe. Right? So we didn't have to see Jesus come back from the dead in order to believe he was the Son of God. Right? And today we didn't live those things. We weren't the ones who walked with him as Peter and the rest of the disciples, apostles did, but yet we believe. And we sing it all the time. I believe, I believe. Yet when he sends his people in different forms, in different ways, to fulfill his purpose and to protect his people, they shun it. They say that those people are mad. They call them whores. They call them every which word that the sinners already call them. So when you come to save, all right, remember, God said, open your doors and welcome his people. But if they reject his will, you let them be. In other words, don't cast your pearls to swines. Dust your foot off when you go to someone's home and they do not welcome you or the gospel. Dust your foot off and leave. All right? So in doing some introspection and whatnot, I've come to the realization that the reason our social welfare system is so overburdened, it's because a lot of parents and family members don't believe. All right? Parents and relatives of children don't believe children when they speak. Now, there are two types of children. All right, there are children who are very gifted, very smart, and they can be very conniving. And then there are the innocent whom we laugh at and laugh with and think that they're being silly and they're being playful, and don't take any mind to them. They're just joking. All right? I have seen instances, and as a teenager growing up in school, we would speak with friends, girls talking with girls, guys talking with girls, guys with guys, that sort of thing. And they would share their story. And when I heard their story in comparison to mine, I didn't see anything because it wasn't as bad. It was bad, but not as bad, if you get me. And if I am a grown woman with 2 degrees that I did not buy but earned, and I explained to you the toll it took on my finances to bring books from foreign, to get extra lessons, tutors and peer assessors and whatnot. I had to pay for those things. Good? So my degree wasn't bought in the sense that I paid a bribe. It was bought through the right channels because I bought the right books, stationaries, tutors, everything that I need. And if I did psychology, which is just on child development, which speaks of brain development, which speaks of social behaviors, and all of these things, then my government did not waste their monies when I tell you from my knowledge gained through these courses and based with experiential learning, I have found that when children speak the truth, people don't believe them. In my studies, my psychology teacher said, as a teacher, we must listen to the students, know them, know their habits, and listen to them. Because when these children speak, people dismiss it, they slap them down, they tell people it's not true, my child crazy, my child like attention, don't listen to them. And they dismiss their own children, they discredit their own children. For what? For whom? And that child is coming to tell you something and is warning you. But you're not listening. You're not listening. How many of you had children come home and tell you, Mommy, I don't want to eat this. Mommy, my belly full. Mommy, you're not feeling good. And you will slap that child and say, finish eat your food. That food had something illegal in it, or perhaps something not clean in it that is causing that child to get sick and drowsy like. And rather than take the food from the child and listen to the child and say, okay, and examine the food, smell it, look at it, right? Even if you want to taste it and see what taste is this am I getting? Instead of doing those things and giving that child a hearing, because a child do not know how to say, Mommy, this food tasting like it's very spoiled, or Mommy, this food tasting like it has narcotics in it. Mommy, this food is just tasting weird, like something filthy, isn't it? A child don't know how to express those feelings and thoughts. So a child would express it with what they know. Mommy, I don't like how this tastes. And Mommy, I don't like this. Mommy, I don't want this. Mommy, Mommy, I feel sick. And you will slap that child down and say, you feel is food we have in this house to waste? You will slap that child down and tell that child, oh, your father working hard for that money, and that is how you will operate. I was 13 years old when I am telling you that my friends bought doubles. And they were behaving like crazy people and started laughing down the place. Some became violent and some started having sex all on the corridor. 13 years old meant I was still a baby. Back in the day, I was brought up as a baby. And when I am forewarning the public about certain things, I am being told I am mad, and I'm 36 years old now, with much more reasoning skills, much more understanding of what drugs can do to the body. Because when I went to the University of the Southern Caribbean, there were symposiums about drug intake and its effect on the human body. And I attended, and I learned quite a few things. So when I am telling you something, I know what I'm saying based on the education that I have at the tertiary level. And I am telling you based on experiential knowledge that I have had, witnessed, and perhaps have gone through it my own self, but have not quite known. All right? Good. So when I come forth and I make these statements to the public of how innocent children were pulled in to these heinous people's wishes to see their lives crumble, to see people not take them seriously, to see them in a lower strata because their work would falter or their behavior will be considered atrocious. So when they work really hard and they are ready to get their rewards, they are using that as an excuse as to why these students or why these children cannot be rewarded with the years of hard work. rewarded with what is deserving for those years of hard. Nobody wants to believe children. I remember going to school and hearing children telling me of fathers coming in, uncles coming in, cousins coming in and having their way. Right? And when they talk and tell their parents about it, they get cussed out. Cuss out. You blaming an innocent man. Yes, you're nasty and cussing out their own daughters for a stepfather. And I would listen and sympathize with them and cry with them as a child, only 13 years, 12 years. And I had to cry with students and pray with them in the name of Jesus, be healed, be whole again. Because those were the teachings bestowed upon me during the faith assembly, cell group days when they went from place to place, house to house, preaching the gospel. And what they preached to me, I in turn internalized and preached to others. God bless all of them for preaching the word of God. It was needed. And I bless God, and with the same blessings he's blessing me with, I can bless back the name of God and bless him back. That he put the right knowledge and words in me to help some of these girls go through that, because a friend believed them when their sister didn't, when their mothers didn't, when the teacher said, tell an adult, tell your mothers, tell the woman, and they did not listen. A friend in school was there to listen and pray with them and help them. Because when other people said they are not good, bring the young, fresh ones. It was people like me and others that said, no, those are smart girls, and it doesn't matter what their anatomy looks like. They've been through quite a lot, and they deserve a place based on the merit of their work. Okay? So I am telling you as who I am today, as an educator, as a teacher, some of the things I went through at 13 years old. What I have done in the education system, I don't come forth with publicly because it is not the public's business of what I do in my job. What I did as a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, or before I became a teacher, I can come forth with. Another thing of importance that you should know is that under the Freedom of Speech Act, there's something called Freedom of Information Act, and there's something called Freedom of Speech Act. I can say what I want. I can call names as long as I don't call people's full names. So I have not betrayed anybody and called anybody's full name, except when quoting an article that was placed in the newspaper, which under the Freedom of Information Act, I can quote. Good. So unless you have money that you would like to just give to me for defamation of character, slander, and all of these things, I suggest you be quiet, because I know this place more than you. And I'm only trying to secure a good pathway for your children, in spite of how I may look with a missing teeth, in spite of how I may sound with the cold that I have due to whatever virus I may have picked up. All right? In spite of all of my personal life flaws, all right, I am still an educator who is educating the public of how people can use perception and fool such people like you. Because you are attacking those who know the truth and are simply trying to help your children not repeat what you have been through. And for that, I say thank you to those who have listened and understand. Don't judge everyone. There are innocent people in this world who are being accused of crimes that they never committed or have committed in small, very minute forms that they could be dismissed with. But people turned it out into this big heinous thing and allowing the real criminals to go out into the real world and get high positions above people who are honest and decent and who would protect rather than destroy. Okay? Now, this brings me to, as I said, destroy. And the images that I've seen on TV comes to mind with that war between Russia and Ukraine. My heart goes out to Ukraine because Russia invaded their territory. All right? There are hundreds of thousands of people being killed, evacuating their country. There are people whose properties have been destroyed. It's very heartbreaking. And the reason I bring this to your attention is to let you know of some of the stories that I again heard as a child growing up from relatives, and they told us these stories so we can one day come forth with it so people can understand. All right? When we were small growing up, people wondered why certain people who were in countries that had war and whatnot, why they got money and some of the other people didn't have money or get money, right? And what this person did, because he was the owner, yes, the owner of several of these banks that these people had their monies with, what he did when they came to him without much documents and whatnot because they were lost at war, he was very gracious and he cut some red tape, so to speak, to help these people, right? So what he did was based on their name, when they said who they were and where they were from and whatnot, and based on some more interrogations and whatnot, and they found it, well, okay, it checks out. They gave these people access to their accounts. Years later, some of these people's children, these people who had the power, they broke protocol or cut red tapes, and they said these kids belong to these owners of this account, and they want the children to have the money to rebuild. And a lot of people were envious and started to accuse these people of wrongdoing. While I agree, according to policies and procedures of some banks, you can't do these things. In acts of war and in times of natural disasters, famines, and all these things, there are exceptions. Okay? There are exceptions. And I am only doing this in remembrance of my grandfather who told me these stories as a child. God bless his soul. Because one of the things he said is that he would like to go, he would like to leave this earth before World War III happens. He said before another war happens, actually. And somebody else said, World War III? Because what he realized is if people had no respect for the truth, and if they had no respect for the people who speak it, then therefore there shall be war. Because you have no respect for authority, for the people who come to warn you, for the people who have been helping you at the expense of even themselves and their children. If you have no respect, therefore there shall be war. And my grandfather has left this earth. God bless his soul. May he rest perpetually in peace. In peace. In peace. In peace. For the knowledge he bestowed upon me, for the listening ear, and for the teachings that he asked me to come forward with before he left this earth. So for those who knows, right? And for those who are against us, as the local parlance say, nothing for all ya, nothing. You can say it's smart behavior, but that's how the local in my country behave. So are you saying I am mad as the locals are? Be careful what you say and understand culture and perspectives before you judge. I am only coming forth with the truth in all things that I say from what I know as a child growing up. Have a wonderful day, and I trust that you will start listening to your children when they tell you similar stories of what they have been through or what they have witnessed. Have a good day, members of the public. And to those who are asking for my job, you cannot have it because I have not broken any rules according to the Education Act, according to the Freedom of Information Act, and according to Freedom of Speech Act. I did not break any rules. So do have a wonderful day, and I suggest you don't waste your time on anything else but securing your children with sound knowledge of the truth. Start with the Holy Bible or whatever suits you best.